Radio. Coming in just a little bit hot this morning. Just happens to be one of those days. And of course, the beautiful Nona Collins Reed is joining me in studio here in just a second. And then live from DC, we have the amazing Murphy Jones. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Tiffany and Nona, whenever you come back.
It's so good to see your face. Like, I mean,
Yes,
just really, really good.
it's so good to see y'all again, even if it's virtual. I just feel like it's been so long since I've just seen y'all, had a conversation, heard y'all's voices. I listen to y'all on the radio all the time, but it's just like talking to y'all.
I know, and it's different. It's different than texting each other and just kind of checking in and seeing what's going on. It's just different, right? So, are
Yeah,
you?
it's completely different.
So you're in your dorm room?
I am in my dorm room. Yes, it's definitely been a change of scenery. It's been a change of everything. I think I've been adapting pretty well. But it's just I don't know. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff happening here in DC, and there's just so much that's happening all over. But this is my room. Say hi to my no. Oh, I keep forgetting I'm reflective. Say hi to my no emergency, no smoking sign in the back of my door.
And then do you have a roommate this year? I couldn't remember if you had
No,
your
I
own room.
don't.
You got
I
your
have my
own
own room.
room.
Yes, I live in
Woohoo!
a single, so that's it. It's a blessing and a being of itself. Having my own room, but it's yes. I know some people who've been having roommate problems. We're not even done with the first semester, and they're just fighting with their roommates. So I was like, I don't have a roommate. I live in a single, y'all. So
Hey, Haley knows how you feel because she just had to get her own apartment away from her.
Crazy.
Yeah, away from her crazy roommate. So thank you.
yes.
For my coffee
You're welcome.
to the bomb.
Hey, Murphy.
Hi, Nona. How are you doing?
Uh, well, always on the run.
She's
Another
in
day, another 15 cents.
uh
Yeah, that's right.
it's been another day and in cat
Yes, cat paradise.
cat paradise. That's a good way to put it.
Murphy, if you haven't heard, my grandmother's cat that my aunt inherited is not eating, so we're having to force feed her with a syringe
Hmm.
and give her some pills to help her finally start wanting to eat again. So it
Uh-huh.
is literally supposed to be 4 times a day we feed her.
Oh,
It's about a
wow.
30 to 40-minute process.
Of
Which is
trying to
insane.
get her to eat?
Yes. Yeah, because
Oh
we gotta give
my.
her a little at a time, and so yeah, it's just it's crazy.
It's an
So,
experience.
yeah, it's an experience. So, yes, had to do my duties of taking care of Smokey this morning.
Y-
So, I was actually running really behind.
I
I know I
know.
was texting Tiffany. Tiffany was like, I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in hot. And I was like, oh, it takes me back to those days where Tiffany would just come in and she's like, Murphy, make sure to start the show. Make sure
Yeah.
to start it.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, it was one of those mornings. It was like everything I was looking for, I couldn't find it. Like
Right.
absolutely everything. And then one of the things was like literally right in front of my face. And
Well,
so I'm starting to do that thing where I can't find my reading glasses
oh,
and they're hanging on my shirt. So
Ed shirt.
yeah, the shirt I can't get buttoned because my
Oh,
fingers are numb. So
oh,
it's a whole nother
I'll get you.
get on the break. So
Well, and that's what else I throw on an old shirt because I get food all over me too. So,
from the
like, I
cat
laid the shirt
cat
out.
food
Yes,
of
cat
all
food.
things.
So I laid this shirt out, threw on the other one, and then I had to come back in, throw that one, wash my hands, and throw this on.
Well, tell us about so talk about what's going on in DC. What have you I know you've been involved in quite a few things. So talk about what you've been doing in DC. I know you're on you're part of some diversity stuff, right?
Hmm.
Okay, tell
Yes, I
everybody
am.
what you're doing.
So, similar to high school, I just cannot find a way just to sit and be a student. Like, you would really think I would learn that by now, but it's just not in my nature. So I recently, and here's so being in DC, there's just so many different opportunities. There's so many. It's so different being here. I had the opportunity to be a part of a women's march, where I was going to marching with people who were trying to fight for abortion justice. I've had the opportunity to be in so many different organizations. So just to name a few of them, I currently, this last campaign season, ran a campaign on campus here. And let me tell you now, college politics are not the thing to play with. Like, I swear this is a microcosm of actual politics in DC, because they're serious. They are very serious. Like, I felt like I was running an actual campaign, and I was like, what is happening here? So I actually had the chance to be a part of the campaign. I came in a little late, so I probably came in about like 3 weeks before it was like election time, 2 to 3 weeks before. So that didn't give me a lot of time to be able to do everything that I wanted. I did have the opportunity to get one of my people who ran on my slate elected to the vice president position. So that was great. It was a great opportunity for me. And now the other slate saw what I was doing, and they absolutely loved me. They were like, we saw how much work you put in. We saw how you could get things done. And so I'm now serving as my school. So the way that it works here at Howard is we have schools inside Howard University. So we have College of Arts and Science, which is biology, political science, criminology, sociology, things like that. All go into all the majors that are defined as College of Arts and Science are in that school. So I have the opportunity this year to serve as the chief of staff for the co-op's freshman council. And there I'll be managing a staff of about 20 to 25 people, working on several different issues: LGBTQIA Alliance, increasing women leadership on campus, also playing a big role in Black men's mental health. So I'm super excited for that role. I'm super excited to be in that position. They were just like, Murphy, if you want the chief of staff position, you can have it. We know you'd be great there. And I was like, I had to talk to my other slate, because I was like, I don't want you to feel like there's any hard beef or anything along those lines, but they're offering me a position, and we were all fine with it. And plus, since my vice president was on it, they were okay with it. But that has been its own kind of experience. So that was recently just happening. I'm about to go through the applications in a couple of weeks, of the people who will serve on each committee. And then I will begin starting to prep things out, prepare the executive board, meetings, all of that great jazz. So that has been its own little personal endeavor. But I'm also involved in another program here at Howard, which is called Alternative Spring Break. It is it's this complete program that we've been doing for, is it 20 years now, maybe 15. But instead of us going on spring break to somewhere else, like partying in Miami, or having the time of our lives, we instead dedicate our spring break towards helping out undeserving and underprivileged communities. So each year we do what we call our sites, and so each year there are what we call a steering committee. The steering committee is made up of a public relations team, a site coordinator, and then also fundraising, database, etc. So I this year am going to be serving as one of the site coordinators for Alternative Spring Break, and basically as a site coordinator, I help to create volunteer opportunities within the undeserving community. I have to have about 30 to 45 people, and I have to provide food, transportation, as well as housing for these people. So it's a super great opportunity. We've gone to Detroit to help out with gun violence. We were at New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina did hit. We've been into Texas and Houston when Hurricane Harvey did hit. So we really love to help other communities. This year, I'm actually going to be doing a site I'm doing a site off of queer youth, and queer youth not having the access to things such as HIV and AIDS prevention, being able to educate queer children, especially those in high school, talking about like what it means to be safe, to practice safe sex, to have safe sex, and everything along those lines. And then also, I'm going to try and bring in like speakers to be able to host a panel, specifically talking about queer homelessness, queer mental health, and then being able to do whatever I can to just be able to help in that community. So I'm looking at the current places that have kind of the highest queer homelessness, and I've been trying to base my site off of that and where I'll be going with that. But I'm super excited about that. That is like a lot of planning. We've been planning since now. Oh, yes.
Well, so,
That's
well, I
so
just it was just so
awesome.
funny because I mean, yesterday we were talking about, how every day of the month usually has some sort of um, national holiday,
Mhm.
that type of thing. So
Mhm.
on October 19th, it was LGBTQ Center Awareness Day. And
Yes, I
so,
heard you say that. Yeah.
yeah, so is there not a center, in anywhere in DC that offers this type of information and opportunity for
Yeah, yeah. So
the queer
there
community?
definitely is. There's several centers. What we really try to do is we really try to go towards other places. So I'm looking at traveling down south. More specifically, I'm looking at somewhere on the East Coast. South Carolina actually has a very high amount of just overall like queer homelessness, but also very high like HIV and AIDS rates right now,
Mm,
especially within teenagers. So being able to travel down south, and being able to expand those opportunities to those people. Because I know we are already having sites in DC, and what we really try to do is we really try to hit multiple places of the country. We're not just even
okay.
in the country; we go international as well. So we've had people travel to Haiti. We've had people travel outside of the United States to be able to provide support and aid there. But yeah, we really try to go outside of it. And I also know there's a couple of organizations on campus that I work with, specifically Cascade, which is the LGBTQIA Alliance here at Howard University, who does a lot of work within the queer community, and also just tries their best to be able to be there for queer children, queer high schoolers, and then even us as queer college students. So,
Wow. I'm really proud of
Wow.
you.
I know,
I mean,
I'm just in awe.
yeah.
that's a lot in this short period of time that you've been, away at college. And I mean, you just dove right in, which we knew you would.
Head
Exactly.
first. I went
Yeah,
in head first.
always, always.
That's one of the things I think we've always talked about when you were in
Mhm,
the office is that you can't, I mean, that's kind of, that's just how you have to live. That's the way you have to live
mhm,
life, especially
Yeah.
if you want to make a difference in your communities
mhm.
and in our country as a whole. I mean, you have to dive in, right? And
Yeah.
you have to be prepared and ready to talk about I don't want to say the difficult topics because this shouldn't be a difficult topic, but you're fighting to make the conversation more more, I don't even want to generic. I don't even know if I want to use the word generic
Yeah.
in general. It should be,
Right.
Yeah, just trying to make the conversation just more accessible to everyone.
there you go, accessibility. I like that.
Yeah, is I just really just wanted everyone to be able to know the conversation, because I know when I was in middle school, there was not really a lot of conversations regarding queer sex. How to have queer sex, how to do it safely. More importantly, I do think that there's a really big issue in terms of not just identity crisis within the queer community, but there's a really big issue of self worth within the queer community,
Mm,
and identifying your own self worth. And I've been kind of struggling, not even just struggling with that, but I've been trying to work through that here at college. So,
So
okay.
how what do you think, kind of, diving into all the stuff that you've been diving in so far and looking back at high school, middle school, and even elementary school, how do you think, or what do you think the school systems can do differently about changing that conversation or opening that conversation up?
I definitely think, because whether we choose to accept it or not, there is a certain population of the school and middle school, especially, that will end up identifying as queer. What they identify as, I couldn't tell you, but there is a certain population that will identify as queer. So I think, just in general, teaching courses that, one, make queer sex accessible. I know in North Carolina, while we were in, I think, the fourth and fifth grade, we would talk about puberty. When I got into middle school, we were taught about sex education, and I know that I know that's not even accessible everywhere. I'm pretty sure I don't think that's a federal mandate. Y'all can fact check me on that. But yeah, I'm like, I don't know if it's a federal mandate to teach sex education. I'm pretty sure that's up to the states to decide. I do know that it's like, I'm pretty sure it's federally mandated to teach about puberty, and to teach about things along those lines, how the body changes. But just making it more accessible, especially within middle school, just introducing the conversation, talking about here's what queer sex is. Here's how you can do it safely. Here are the preparations that you can do to be able to have queer sex. Just being able to do those things, have those conversations, and then just be not even necessarily taboo, because I even feel like sometimes sex is a taboo subject. But just being able to have those conversations, just being able to talk about it really will go a long way. But also, in general, stopping the idea and the notion that queer people should be stigmatized for who they choose to like and who they choose to be in the bedroom with.
Mm,
I definitely think that that plays a very important role in the self identity crisis that queer people have, because it's like when you're fighting this internal conflict with yourself and you are constantly telling yourself, I can't be this person, I can't be this person, it starts to shake your own self confidence. You start to feel like, wow, like everything that I am as a person is wrong, because for a lot of people, their identity is really revolving around their queerness. So it's like when you reject that self of them, that when you reject that part of them, they start to feel like that is, you're rejecting them as a whole. And so it's like having that conversation and letting them know, like, you are loved, you are appreciated, and that you don't need to necessarily, because what happens for a lot of teenagers, is they try and they go and find, um, self worth, and they try to find self love in other people, other men especially. And so it's like when that happens, it's like you're not fixing yourself with, you're just distracting yourself, and that's kind of been
Mhm.
something I've been having to deal with as well. It's like just learning how to be alone, learning how to be by
mm.
myself, learning how to talk to myself, learning how to have those conversations just with myself, and then being able to go out to other people and saying, look, like what you're doing is a great distractor, but you're still, when you go home at the end of the day, you're still going to have the same problems that you did before you left. So it's like just really being able to have those conversations and letting kids know how to cope with what happened,
Mhm.
and having those coping mechanisms available as well.
That's a really, really good point. And this goes for, the straight and the queer
That's what I was thinking.
community.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Whoever you love or choose to love,
Mhm.
you have to love yourself first.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
you have to be completely and fully comfortable to be by yourself
Mhm.
before you be
Absolutely.
capable of giving even a part of
Mhm.
yourself to somebody
Oh, yeah.
else. And
Absolutely.
that's a hard thing to learn. So I love that you are learning how to do that yourself right
Yeah.
now. Um,
Yeah.
and it's not easy. I mean,
It's
it's not easy.
No, it's not.
it's the worst time ever. The As I have had quoted on the back of my Letterman jacket, I don't even have my Letterman here. It's Psalms 23:4, which is, though I walk through the valley of shadows of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff. So just having
Amen.
that there,
Yes.
and just having that there has played a very
Right.
incremental role in all of the valleys that I've been walking through lately, because it has been a little bit more challenging than it was in the beginning.
Yeah.
But
You should find
we're
a
making it.
poster that you could put up on your wall in your
Yeah.
room so you can
Yes.
see that reflection, or even self-love sticky notes that you can put on the mirror
Right.
for yourself, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because just seeing that affirmation every day,
Mhm.
or hang up your Letterman jacket if you brought it with you. You could do
Yeah.
that
I'm
too.
actually I'm coming back to Texas for November or something. So I'll be back in Texas, and so I'm probably gonna grab my
All right,
Letterman
well,
while I'm there. I'm probably gonna frame it.
don't leave us, because we got more to talk about when we come back from this quick break. So stay with us, guys. We'll be back here on JoCo Vibes on JoCo Community Radio in just a couple of minutes.
Abnormal realities.
All right. So let's see. Oh, this is a cool one. You may affect magnetic phenomena that makes credit cards unreadable after you've been carrying them. Do you have a problem with your credit cards?
I do not.
He is not a slider.
I'm not a slider.
All right. And number everything that's no more numbers.
What are you doing? I'm just thinking about how much of a train wreck we are.
Come here, hug.
No, I'm not hugging you. God, how long is this show getting on? Can't believe you got to the end of the story and you went, humana. There are no more numbers. What?
I thought there was another one. I tried playing it out. It rolled over on me.
Abnormal realities
Every time I look at the clock, the break gets further away. I don't understand.
with Ron and Rocky. Weekdays, 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. on JoCo Community Radio.
Out of deck carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered. When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson in Cleveland, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
The voice of Johnson County, JoCo Community Radio.
Texas pride,
Texas grown. I can't help but want to sing it, but
I
at the
know,
same
me
time,
too.
I still want to jazz up
Upbeat.
our morning upbeat music. So
Now I can see. It's like Kim and I are talking face to face.
I know, but you're on a delay. You
I
gotta see it on the,
know,
you
I
gotta see it on the
know.
replay.
I
Well,
know, but he's too far away, and
I
my
know.
eyes are getting bad.
Well, we're gonna swap
So.
these screens, so just to let you know, we're gonna make it bigger. But
See, Murphy, I have you up close.
he can see you. Welcome back to the second half of JoCo Vibes here on JoCo Community Radio. We are the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network. To listen, simply go to tuneinjoco.com, where you can download the free app or listen live right there. We are also streaming simultaneously on Spreaker.com, as well as Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. And we're beta for LinkedIn, so we're just waiting for them to approve us. We're in the holding pattern for LinkedIn, so hang tight on that. All of our shows can also be found on any one of your favorite podcast platforms, such as Spotify and iTunes. Check out our lineup and more at jococommunityradio.com. Thanks for tuning in. This episode and more brought to you by Next Level Claims, making your insurance work for you. If you've got some hail damage, storms happen, you've got to have someone ready to fight for you in your corner. Put on the gloves and make sure your insurance company pays the full amount of your claim, because 10 times out of 10, they don't want to pay it. So you've got to have someone who's going to roll up their sleeves and help you. That is what Next Level Claims does. So reach out to them at facebook.com/Next Level Claims to get them in your corner before the next storm hits. Please do not remove from station. I just did that for
Jesse.
I wish Jesse were listening, because that was for him. So
for anyone who doesn't know that, the first time
he read the commercial,
ours kept disappearing. People would read it and then they would take it away. So when I typed this up the last time, I put, please do not remove from the station. So the first time my husband was reading it on one, he read, please do not remove from the station. So it's a joke now.
It was really funny. So welcome back. I'm Tiffany Carlin with Nona Collins Reed, and live from DC, it's Murphy Jones.
Hi, everyone.
I think that's the name-
2.0.
I think that's what your show name should be. Live from DC, it's Murphy Jones.
I
And
like that.
I'm serious.
I love that. Oh, that's one of the main things. I miss doing my show. That was such a great time. Such a great time in my life.
Well, the thing is that like we kind of touched on just the other day when we were talking, is that you can do a show from on JoCo from where you're at, and I don't know if you would want, and honestly, you could bring in your same co-hosts from
Yes.
everywhere they're at. Or, I mean, it just, it's up to you.
Yeah.
But did you know that today is International Spirit Day? Spirit
No,
Day.
I didn't know that.
Okay. Spirit Day is an annual observance that takes place on the third Thursday in October, on October 21st this year. This day aims to create awareness for the bullying and harassment that the LGBTQ community faces. Millions of people worldwide identify as queer, and many more are yet to publicly declare their status. Such a large community of people shouldn't be alienated or marginalized because of their sexual orientation. But the reality, sadly, is that they are. All over the world, LGBTQ youths suffer harassment because of their identity. And so this holiday, this International Day of Recognition, started in September of 2010. Canadian teenager Brittany McMillan was browsing through Tumblr. Sorry, it's Tumblr.
Oh.
I was like, wait, are we going to do a dating thing? What she came across was unfortunate and devastating. She stumbled upon a rash of widely publicized bully-related suicides of gay teenagers. Overwhelmed by the news, she felt persuaded to do something to spread awareness about the loss of these school students. She also wanted to support people going through similar problems. After learning about Canada's anti-bullying Pink Shirt Day, she took inspiration from that and decided to make Tumblr asking students, that doesn't make sense, but that's what they wrote, decided to make, a Tumblr asking students to wear purple in support of LGBTQ youth. She chose purple because the color represents spirit on the pride flag. Her hard work and determination resulted in the very first Spirit Day celebration, October 20th, 2010. Her post broke the internet and drew the attention of GLAAD, an American non-governmental media monitoring organization founded as a protest against defamatory coverage of LGBTQ people. Now the day is organized and promoted by GLAAD, which also provides Spirit Day resource kits for ally youths to stand up against bullying in their own schools. Over the years, it has grown in popularity and visibility. It now sees millions of participants, including schools, businesses, sports teams, celebrities, and media outlets. Spirit Day observers also wear the color purple to show their support for the LGBTQ youth and honor the community's suicide victims. Supporters also celebrate by changing their profile pictures and extensively using the hashtag Spirit Day and hashtag choose kindness in their social media
Oh,
posts.
cool.
Oh
Now
my
look
gosh,
at
I
you.
absolutely love that.
Now look what you can go out
Yeah.
into the community and talk about today
Could have wore purple today too.
Absolutely.
and put on
Yes.
your
Where I know
purple.
I need to change it to some
I
purple.
know. I'm like, this blue's not purple.
Yeah, yeah. But so that's just, I just love that our conversation started with the diversity stuff that you're working on there. And then look what one of the holidays, holiday recognition,
Absolutely.
days of recognition. And it's an international thing. So, put on your purple, go out and show your kindness towards everyone. I mean, we're all different. It just doesn't even matter. Like I've never walked down like the street or gone into a store and gone, oh, that person must be queer.
Yeah.
Like,
Me neither.
you know what I mean? It's just, it's so ridiculous that we have to be having this conversation in this day and age, still
Yeah.
having this conversation. So what's your take on that, Murphy Jones?
I think I think that it's like I'm just like this is 2021. Like at this point, it's just like you shouldn't be having the conversation, but it's the fact that
Mhm.
we are still having the conversation, which is playing a really big issue. And I just think that it's like at this point, like queer people have been a part of society for as long as practically humankind has been here.
Mhm.
Like there has always been queer people. Now, whether or not they came out
Right.
publicly is a different story, but it does not take away from the fact that queer people existed, that queer people have always been a part of movements, that queer people have always been everywhere that heterosexual people or even cisgender people have been there, have been. So it's like the fact that we're still having to have these conversations, that we still have got to have these just overall protests and notions to fight for just basic rights, I think is just it's really just like this is 2021 people. Like we could have did we had this fight back when was it? I think it was 2010. When was a gay marriage officially legalized? Or was it like 2016? It was around there. I don't remember the
Mhm.
official date for it. But it's
Was it only
like
2016?
I don't think it's been
like
very
I don't
long.
yeah, it hasn't been very long.
No, it really
I
hasn't.
yeah, I remember. All I remember is it was during the. I think it was during. I'm pretty sure it was during the Obama administration. I know that, and I think it was during his second term that it was officially legalized. But it's just like these should be old conversations. We should be changing just changing the whole idea. And I have seen that there is a little bit more normalization beginning to happen. Like people are beginning to feel more comfortable. There hasn't been, at least towards me, demonstrated a lot of like I guess like homophobia and everything along those lines. But it's like there are people and places where they are, and it's like it just shouldn't be happening.
Right. It shouldn't.
Mm-mm.
It's ridiculous.
That's just the bottom
What
line.
what bugs me too is that here we are talking about it on the radio, but this isn't being discussed in school today. Just like you
Mhm.
said,
Mhm.
this should be a wear purple today, and our schools should be talking about, um, what's happening across our nation with bullying. I mean, I mean, we have to have this
Mhm.
conversation. Kids are dying. Kids are taking their own
Mhm.
lives over this issue. So,
I
um,
will say I feel like it has been, young youth has been more vocal and they're more forthcoming now, of course. But I know they're still having issues, uh, you know, but it is in the community and just knowing the kids and the age right now, I know a lot of them. I mean, my niece went through a identity crisis, and I don't know what else to call it. I'm sorry if that's not the way. I know there's something that traumatically affected her right about her high school year, and for the longest time, she dated girls, and now she's dating a boy. Her sister is gay or a lesbian. I'm, and so I think there's more of a aspect of it's okay to experiment and figure out where you really fit in now than it was before. So I'm glad to see that the kids are more open, even though it may not being taught in the schools. The kids are being more comfortable about being able to come out. And even if, their best friend doesn't choose that route or, feel like they need to go that route, they're still there very supportive of them. So it doesn't matter what their situation is in the bedroom or who they love, they still love them for the person they are. And so I feel like I'm seeing that more and more. I'm hoping that that's kind of how you feel, Murphy, also, because I do, especially being in education for the years I was, I just feel like kids are a lot more open to um, loving everybody on the aspect of no matter who they love, who their friend loves. So I feel like there's a lot more compassion with each other on that. I could be. I mean, I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but I do
No,
feel
you're
like I'm
you're you're
seeing
definitely
that.
right. Yeah, there is
Okay,
beginning, and I like yeah, like you're like
and
especially
it's
within educational aspects and
right.
educational settings. Yeah, like there's a lot of compassion being shown.
Mhm,
There's a lot of empathy being shown. I think that that it's like the only issue just comes around whenever a kid, for example, doesn't know or it doesn't even have like let's just say the coping strategies because they were
mhm,
never even taught
right,
how to them deal with one rejection when they do experience it because
right.
they
mm,
will end up experiencing it sooner or later and most of the things that can like you said earlier most of the things that are taught to queer children aren't just identifiable towards queer people. They
Mhm,
don't just belong to queer people. They're things that
right.
all children should be taught. And so I'm actually one of the chapel assistants here on campus. And the chapel is a non-denominational, just I guess interfaith kind of place. And one of the things that I've been trying to begin going to is what's called Wellness Wednesdays. And that is where the dean of the chapel actually leads like this initiative. And one of the things that he talked about was coping strategies. And there's like three main things that you do whenever you're trying to learn how to cope. And I realized whenever he was saying these things, like, wow, like I've never done this before. And so like the first thing is to like really sit in what happened, and just like think about it. Just like
Mhm.
have that moment, talk about what happened. Like just sit there and think about it. Just be there. After you sat there and you thought about it, you've been in the moment, you've had the conversation with yourself, you've lived it again. You have to relive that moment. Then you begin to, as you say, reaffirm yourself.
Mhm.
I don't care if you have to put sticky notes up on your wall. I don't care if you have to tell yourself something every single morning when you wake up. It does not matter what you have to do, but you have to begin changing your mindset, because it's like a lot of the times we say a lot of negative things without us even knowing. Like I know I used to say a lot of implicit things that I didn't even know I was saying. And so it was like changing that idea, changing that mindset, telling myself I can do it. And that even if I don't do it, it's okay. And that was one of the biggest things, is that's like, even if you aren't able to, for example, complete every single thing on your checklist, it's okay. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some
Mhm.
type of okay. And then the third thing that you really have to do after you begin giving yourself those reaffirmations is moving on with your life, going forward, trying to continue to relive it. And it's like when I remember back in high school, and it's like just watching, just in this short time period, how much I've been able to kind of grow just using those three tactics and just using those three strategies. Is it's just been like, wow, like this is where I started. I started where I had everything on this checklist and I had to complete every single thing. If I did not complete every single thing, it would literally just make me bust my head. And it's like I started to learn that I don't have to be a part of every single thing. And that's what I've been trying to do, is I've only joined things that I want to be a part of, that I know I want to do. So I don't have to be a part of everything. I don't have to go to every event. I don't have to be everywhere all the time. And really just giving myself the moment where it's like, okay, this is what happened to you, because I never really got to talk about, like, I never really got to process some of the trauma because I was always doing something. So it's like sitting there thinking about it. This is what happened to you. Just taking yourself, you may need to take a week, 2 weeks, months. This is a year-long process. Like it can be a years long process, and it's always happening. You always need to be doing this. And so it's like you sit there in that process. I've sat there, I talked about it, I had the conversation, and I still have the conversation with myself. And then I began giving myself reaffirmations like, you are loved, you are successful, you are ambitious, like you are more than what the label people have given to you. And then I've just tried to begin to move on with my life and try to really picture where I could be and where I can go. So it's just stuff like that where you could teach the kids, especially young, because it's like I really feel like even when I was younger, like I was never taught how to cope with things properly. Um, like I never had that moment where it's like, here's how you cope with it. Here's how you have the conversation. And some people just don't know, so it's hard for them to be able to teach it. But it's like, and for everyone, it's different. So teaching multiple coping mechanisms as well will just solve the problem. Where it's like, what works for me may not work for y'all, or it may not work for people who are watching. Like it's like finding what is good for you. So I started doing yoga. Like I've been trying new things. I started doing yoga. I took my Apple Watch off. I took my phone. I didn't have any electronics. Started doing yoga, and that was been a great experience. My back hurts sometimes when I'm done, but it's still a great experience. So it's like finding what really works for you and really taking that moment to just decompress from the world.
I'm really proud of you.
Yes.
It's a
Thank you.
I mean, it's one thing to go off to, college, go off to university for the first time, and you're having to meet new friends and get into a new routine, and
An adult.
all the you have to adult on your own. You've got
Got
to,
that right.
you're getting out in the community and doing the community service that you're doing. That means so much to you, and then at the same time, you are also Oh, our broadcast keeps pausing. That's so weird because it's not pausing on our end. So
It did over here on
it
me.
it did.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. Well, we had Spectrum went down yesterday,
Oh,
or I'm sorry, the day before. We had the whole building and this whole area didn't have any internet. So I don't know if we're having issues with Spectrum today or not,
Hmm.
but I guess I'm going to have to look into it. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so you're doing all these things, the community service, and then on top of that, having to stay on top of your grades. So, how are your grades looking so far?
So far
Okay.
pretty good. I had gotten so due to some health issues and everything along those lines, I had gotten a little bit behind in some classes. And I like one of the things is communication, just having open communication with my professors. So my professors know about all the medical issues I've been going through, and they have been completely understanding. They're just like get the work in when you can. I've really learned in college. Let me tell you, it is harder to catch up than it is to stay above the work. I've definitely been playing the catch up game, and I've definitely been doing my best to. I will say, slowly but surely, I'm getting back to where I was. In terms of everything with college, I just recently had submitted my what did I submit? I just recently submitted my one of the essays that I had to write for English. And my English professor absolutely loved it. He gave me a 94. I was like, oh, this is a great essay. I'm sure to win this. But he absolutely loved it. And so that was kind of, I guess, like my first major milestone. I was like, oh my gosh, my first like college essay. Well, because I did dual in college, but like, I guess like first Howard essay. I was like, wow, like I got a 94 on it. It was a really good moment. But yeah, just kind of get trying to stay up on the work, because when I was fine, I was always on the work. I was usually ahead, but it's like when you get behind and it's like you medically are just like tired, and it's like your body is just so exerted. It's just like I need a moment
Mhm.
right now, and telling myself and allowing myself to have that moment, because it's been like that for some other organizations as
Right.
well, where it's like I can't play as much as a role right now because I do need to focus on my health, and I do need to focus on some other things that are happening right now. But it's just like allowing myself to just have that moment. And my professors are also completely understanding. They're like, take your time, don't worry about it. Like if you miss something, for example, my lobbying and government relations class, was like, we'll catch you up on the quizzes. Don't worry about them. Like you need to take the time to like actually heal. Because one of my mentors told me was like, if you don't take the time to sit down, heal, and just come back to who you are as a person, you're gonna start to slip on things. So things that really care about, things that you really are important to you, you're gonna start to slip on them. So I'm getting back to where I was. Let's
Well,
let's say
I
that.
mean,
That's
I
good.
mean, you were already well into adulthood when you
Oh,
started working
yes.
here, but one of the things that you can tell the maturing part of
Mm.
it is using the terms like allowing yourself to
Mhm.
heal, because that's so important, and a lot of people don't allow that time for healing, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally, or spiritually.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's a combination of all those things. When you have physical pain, whether it's due to something temporary or something long term, you have to allow yourself time. I'm not great at it.
I'm not either.
As I'm trying to button the shirt on my back and I have 3 numb fingers and it's all from my neck, but I am getting my shot on Monday finally, so that should help me big time. So anyway, you know, I'm just really proud of you. So just we've got 4 minutes left before the end, and so on the political side of being in DC, are you guys paying attention, or are you in any groups? Or are you paying attention big time as to what's going on with the voting rights?
Yes. We're really the one thing about Howard is Howard is really politically engaged, especially being in the political science department. You know about everything that's happening in DC before everyone else knows. Um,
So let's
so
talk about
um,
the voting rights bill and what you're hearing about it from, I don't want to call it, from the front line.
Yeah.
DC.
So, really, what right now is happening in Congress is what they're really trying to get passed, and what Speaker Pelosi is really trying to get passed is the reconciliation bill. Really, voting rights, so to say, and this is one of my issues that I've been having a lot, has become practically tabled as a conversation, and the media has really been dominated, as well as what Speaker Pelosi has really been wanting, is to get the infrastructure plan passed, the $1.5 trillion infrastructure plan, as well as the reconciliation bill, which is I think they narrowed it down to about 2 point something trillion dollars as well. But really, what's been happening is the two senators from Arizona, and I forgot where the other one was from, but have really been trying to hold out because they have demands that they want met within the reconciliation bill. And with the so slim majority that the Democrats do hold, they're having issues trying to meet those demands because they're going to have to compromise on other places. So that's really been the talk of the town. Nancy Pelosi did say that she wanted to have the reconciliation bill passed by Halloween. So really just trying to look at that and trying to see if that gets passed. But one of the other things that has really been kind of interesting is Biden's HBCU package that a lot of people have been following. And so Biden had promised, he had a proposal, so I don't want to say a promise, but he had a proposal during his campaign season. I think it was for how much was it? It was like 40 something billion dollars that would be distributed towards HBCUs. That number went down exponentially to about $2 or maybe $3 million. That would end up going dispersed towards HBCU funding. So that has really been something that a lot of HBCUs have had, so to say, HBCU students have had a problem with. Presidents have came out of the HBCU bill, and they've been like, something is better than nothing. But a lot of students have had a lot of complaints about it. So that's been something else that's really been dominating. But yes, definitely the things to look for here in DC is definitely the bipartisan infrastructure plan, as well as the reconciliation bill, as well as what's about to come up, the debt ceiling, and whether or not the debt ceiling will get raised, because the vote will come up. What is it? Is it December? I think it's around December is when the bill is supposed to expire. So whether or not the debt ceiling will be raised. So those are kind of the main things that we're looking for right now. Voting rights has been, blessed be, tabled, and it's really sad what's been happening, but I know that it's been full front for the HBCU reconciliation bill, and then the reconciliation bill and the bipartisan infrastructure plan.
So right now, Republican senators are blocking the voting rights bill, and again, trying to, I'm sure, make some exchanges on getting something else they want somewhere else, right? And
Absolutely.
so how do you think this is going to turn out? I mean, some senators have been urging a carve out to exempt the voting rights bill from filibuster. Oh, we're going to have to talk about this some more next week. Will you come back on?
We absolutely, I of course will. So yes.
All right. So we're going to do another DC update. Again, remember, go out and be kind today. It is International Spirit Day. And be thankful. It's Thankful Thursday. Thank you, Murphy, for joining us. Have an amazing weekend, guys.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, JoCo Community Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. They may be just days away. Reports that as many as 60,000 migrants in a big caravan